There are Zimbabweans crying out for help.
Actually, we come here to support South Africans to march on behalf of Zimbabweans. Because we are cowards.
And in the middle of that cry, a serious claim has started circulating that South Africa may take President Emmerson Mnangagwa to the International Criminal Court.
This has been done already. We are going to take the government of Mnangagwa to International Criminal Court.
That sentence alone stops me in my tracks. We know what it means when people look across the border for justice. But before we run with the headline, we need to slow down and look carefully at what is actually being said, who is saying it, and what it would really mean. Over the past days and weeks, reports and social media posts have suggested that South African political figures, or a political party member, are calling for President Mnangagwa to be referred to the ICC. The claim is tied to the situation inside Zimbabwe: restricted civic space, threats against activists, arrests linked to protest, and ordinary citizens saying they feel unheard and unsafe. The idea being pushed is that South Africa, as a regional power and a country that has used international courts before, should step in.
This notion of supremacy, that South Africa took the initiative to take the State of Israel to the International Court of Justice, and even as we did, we were criticized, we were challenged, we were even insulted, but we stood firm. The reason we stood firm is that the father of our democracy said to us, our own freedom as South Africans will never be complete until the Palestinians have won their own freedom. We are happy and pleased that many other countries have realized that South Africans, by taking the State of Israel to the International Court of Justice, was not mad. They now see that real genocide is happening in Gaza as well as on the West Bank. And now illegal wars are being waged against other countries where thousands and thousands of innocent people are being killed.
Let me be very clear from the start, because this matters. This is not confirmed as official South African government policy. There is no public statement from President Cyril Ramaphosa or the Department of International Relations saying the government is taking Mnangagwa to the ICC. What we are seeing appears to come from political party members or political figures speaking in their own capacity. That distinction is critical. In journalism, we do not turn a party member's call into an official government action. I will keep reminding you of that throughout this video. For those who may not know, the International Criminal Court, the ICC, is a permanent international court based in The Hague. It was created by the Rome Statute. Its job is to prosecute individuals for the most serious crimes under international law: genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and the crime of aggression. It steps in when national courts are unwilling or unable to genuinely investigate and prosecute. It does not replace national justice systems. It is a court of last resort. South Africa is a state party to the Rome Statute, which means we have obligations and also a voice in how the court works.
Halfway across the world, there's an institution that calls itself the International Criminal Court. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't.
Well, let's change that. Here I'm going to explain what the International Criminal Court is and why the Trump administration is going after it. If you're new here, got a PhD in political science, and normally teach at the University of Geneva. The ICC is an international court that deals with 4 things: war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, and now also crimes of aggression. Its goal: punish the individuals responsible for those if their own country won't go after them. What's important here is that it goes after individuals. So it's not like the International Court of Justice, which judges states. Now, is the ICC perfect? Of course not. There's plenty of criticisms against it, and you can list them in the comments. But what it does is it puts an idea in every leader's head. you better think twice before committing those crimes, because you, as the individual, might end up in front of that court. Maybe not when those crimes are being committed or the year after and so on, but what about 5, 10, 15 years when the political dynamics in a country have changed? Some of the crimes committed by the Lord's Resistance Army in northern Uganda between 2002 and 2005 have been trialed 20 years later at the ICC. So yeah, it's basically the idea that the individuals that committed those crimes will never be completely free of justice. You need to remember the context of when the ICC emerged. It was just after the genocide in Rwanda and ex-Yugoslavia, where the world watched and did absolutely nothing. At the time, the UN set up temporary tribunals, but then came the idea, let's make a permanent court to deal with this stuff. Fast forward to today, 125 countries joined, so it's a big success. But, and you've probably seen it, some of the major players stayed out. They didn't join because they saw it as infringing on their sovereignty. And that could be the end of story. You have countries part of the ICC and countries who are not. But it's not that simple, because if a country that is not part of the ICC commits a crime in a country that is part of the ICC, then the ICC might go after an individual of that country. This is what happened with Russia and Israel. The ICC issued arrest warrants against Putin and his Children's Rights Commissioner for the alleged crime of forcefully deporting children from Ukraine to Russia, while for Israel's actions in Gaza, the arrest warrants are for Netanyahu and his former defense minister for the alleged crime of using starvation as a method of warfare. In both cases, I said alleged because it still is a court, so that needs to be proven. Now, what does it mean to have an arrest warrant of the ICC? On top of it being pretty bad for your image, it also has very practical implications. If Putin or Netanyahu sets foot in any of the countries that ratified the Rome Statute of the ICC, they must be arrested and sent to The Hague for their trial, which means you have rule of law, you will have to arrest them, even if your own government wants to actually invite Netanyahu or Putin for a state visit or something like that. That's the separation of powers. This is exactly why non-members push back so hard. They basically bring forward 3 arguments. First, they say that there's a sort of jurisdictional overreach. Basically, they didn't ratify the Rome Statute, so they should not be subjected to it. Personally, I'd say focus on not committing any of those crimes, but whatever. Second, bias. Russia calls it a Western tool. Israel calls it anti-Israel. Third, and this challenge is often brought by democracies, they say they have their own internal courts to judge whoever would be responsible for such a crime in their own country. So let's circle back at the clip at the start of the video. It's about Marco Rubio officially launching a sort of whole government response to systematically disable the International Criminal Court. They even go after judges and prosecutors, sanctions, travel bans, and pressures on allies to abandon the court entirely. Now, the 125 countries are not powerless. They need to put the willingness to defend that court, though. Even within the United States, many disagree with the dismantling of the ICC. But what do you think? Will the ICC manage to withstand the attacks of the current US administration?
Let's talk about the parallel that many people are drawing. Under President Ramaphosa, South Africa took a very public and controversial step regarding Israel. We referred the situation in Gaza to the ICC and later pursued a case at the International Court of Justice accusing Israel of violating the Genocide Convention. That decision was celebrated by some as a bold stand for international justice, and criticized by others as selective or politically motivated. The point is this: South Africa has shown it is willing to use international courts when it believes serious crimes are being committed. That history is why the current claim about Mnangagwa carries weight in public conversation, even if it is not yet an official government move. Meanwhile, on the ground in Zimbabwe, the atmosphere remains tense. Constitutional changes that extend presidential terms and alter electoral processes have sparked strong opposition. Activists and ordinary citizens who tried to organize or speak out have faced arrests, threats, and heavy security presence. Some have publicly said they feel their voices are being shut down.
Ever since I was advocating for Zimbabweans to have a peaceful march, I started getting death threats from the ZANU-PF government.
Others have looked outside the country for support. When people start talking about the ICC, it is usually a sign that they believe domestic avenues for accountability have closed. That is the human cry underneath the political noise.
Manda, thank you very much. My name is Ronald Gundumnyai. I'm from ICC movement. I'm a national organizer. So we are here to pledge our solidarity to the people of Zimbabwe. Our message is very clear. We are unapologetic. We can see what's happening in Zimbabwe. And I've indicated this to the previous people who were interviewing me. I've already briefed my lawyer. This has been done already. We are going to take the government of Mnangagwa to International Criminal Court. This is a decision that we already taken as whatever that happened today in Zimbabwe is just going to strengthen our case in taking the government of Zimbabwe to ICC. We can see what's happening with on the regional politics that is being paraded here with SADC. They are protecting each other. It can't be that President Ramaphosa can be held accountable with Pala Pala, but Mnangagwa can't be held accountable. There's nothing special about Mnangagwa, by the way. Yes. So we're going to enforce the democratic state to be ushered in Zimbabwe with our solidarity. The revolution that is unfolding in Zimbabwe is going to go to Cape, from Cape to Cairo. And this has to happen with the solidarity by South African and also the Zimbabwean diaspora. South African people must stand up. Progressive forces in Africa must stand up and support what's the human rights that need to be ushered in Zimbabwe. So with those few words, as the ICC movement, we are saying we hear the plight of people of Zimbabwe. Frame back in Pilombezi now, no to Cap 3. We are demanding the implementation of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
When we went to war, we were fighting for the people, right? We were fighting for one man, one vote. And that's what we want to see happening. We were not fighting for a dynasty or anything along those lines.
As a South African journalist, I sit with mixed feelings. On one hand, I understand why Zimbabweans would look to South Africa. We share a border, a history of liberation struggles, and we have positioned ourselves as defenders of international law. On the other hand, I am cautious. Referring a sitting African head of state to the ICC is an enormous step. It has to be based on solid evidence that meets the legal threshold, not political pressure or social media momentum. And it has to come through proper channels, not from a single party member's statement being amplified into a national policy. Consistency matters. If we are going to speak about accountability for leaders, we must apply the same standard everywhere, including closer to home. Here is my honest view. If there is credible evidence of crimes that fall under the ICC's jurisdiction, then the proper legal processes should be followed, whether the person involved is in Israel, Zimbabwe, or anywhere else. But we cannot turn international justice into a political weapon that is only pointed at certain leaders when it is convenient. Zimbabweans deserve the right to speak, to protest peacefully, and to live without fear of threats or arbitrary arrest. South Africans deserve clarity from their own political leaders about what is official policy and what is party rhetoric. And the ICC itself deserves to be treated as a court of law, not a stage for regional score settling. That is the standard I hold. So where does that leave us? Zimbabweans are crying out. Some South African political voices are talking about the ICC. The official government has not confirmed any such action. The court itself has clear legal requirements that must be met. As a journalist, my job is to keep those distinctions clear, while still hearing the human pain underneath the headlines. I will continue watching this story closely. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think South Africa should get involved in this way? Or do you believe these matters must stay within Zimbabwe's own systems first? Leave your thoughts in the comments. keep it respectful. If this perspective helped you understand the difference between claims and confirmed policy, like the video, share it, and subscribe for more straight talk on Southern African issues. We will keep following the facts, not the noise.